Hello all, welcome back to the lecture series of Matplotlib, and today we will be discussing about stack plots. A stack plot is an easy visualization when you want to compare the whole data in different segments. Each constituent of the stack plot is stacked on top of each other, and it shows the part makeup of the unit as well as the whole unit. So in very easy language, if you have created a line chart and if you have filled the area under the line chart, and then you have stacked multiple line charts in the same way, then you get a stack plot in the same way. So we will be creating a sample stack plot with the sample data, and then we'll be uploading files, CSV files, and then we will be focusing on how we can create a stack plot, and under what circumstances we can create stack plots. So I've imported pandas and numpy, and I've imported matplotlib under their standard aliases, and I will be using a 538 style. And if you want to use a different style, you can just uncomment out this particular line, and then please run it, and you will get the names of available styles. So I have the list of hex colors, and I have imported these two data sets we will be working with. And first of all, we will be creating a sample stack plot with this data. So let's just see what this data is about. So I have created the data of 3 employees according to the 8 days. So on the first day, employee 1 works for 5 hours, works on something specific. Employee 2 works on 6 hours, and on the first day, employee 3 works on employee 3 works for 2 hours. On the second day, employee 1 works for 3 hours, employee 2 works for 5 hours, employee 3 works for 6 hours, and so on and so forth. So let's say I want to compare how my employees, how my 3 employees are actually working on different days, and I want to compare their working hours. So how can I do that? I can do that with a stack plot. So how can I create a stack plot? So it is easy as calling the stack plot function plt.stackplot. So what I want on the x-axis, basically, in stack plot, there is only one x-axis, but you have multiple y-axis, because on the basis of one variable, I want to visualize different variables. For example, on the basis of days, I want to visualize the working hours of 3 employees. So I will have 3 data on the y-axis and 1 data on the x-axis. So by creating stack plots, we can incorporate one variable on the x-axis and more than 2 variables on y-axis. So what I want on the x-axis, I want day on the x-axis, and let's just create for employee 1, and then I call plt.show. If you see, you get similarly looking a line chart, but the area is filled under the line chart. The area is filled under the line chart. Now we add one more employee, employee 2, and then we add another employee, employee 3. So as you can see, now I have 3 charts for employee 1, employee 2, and employee 3, but I don't know which color belongs to which employee. So let's see how we can add labels to our stack plot. So I'm going to copy this because I'm going to do a customization. So I will create a different plot. So labels equals to emp1, emp2, emp3, and then I have to call the legend, plt.legend. And obviously we need to label our axis, plt.xlabel days and plt.ylabel working hours. So as you can see, the legend is visible. The blue color is showing exactly the working hours for employee 1. The red color is showing the working hours for employee 2, and yellow color is showing the working hours for employee 3. So how we can read stack plot? If you see, on the first day, the working hour for employee 1 is 5, and employee 1 belongs to blue color. So as you can see, the employee 1 works for 5 hours. So you can see the line for a first point in blue color shows 5. And if you see, the employee 2 works for 6 hours, but the red color shows employee 2, and it shows at 11. So our employee 2 works for 6 hours while it is showing 11. So there is a way of reading a stack plot. You have to subtract the values below it. So this point below, this point is this point on y-axis is 11, and this point is basically 5. So 11 minus 5 is 6, and that's how you get 6 hours on the second day. 6 hours on the first day for the second employee. So that's how we read stack plots. So let's just customize it again. So let's just say I want the line width. I want to create the boundaries for these stack plots. So how do I do that? Line width is equals to 1, and I want the borders to be black in color. So as you can see, the line widths are visible now. And let's say you want to reduce the transparency. You want to reduce the transparency of this plot. So you can use alpha, which actually controls the transparency of plots, with 0 being transparent and 1 being opaque. So I say 70% transparent. So as you can see, the graphs are now translucent a bit. So that's how we can actually customize our stack plots. Now let's just focus on how we can create stack plots from a data, from a CSV file, because in most case scenarios, we have data in a CSV file. So I have imported a data. Oh, sorry. So I have imported a data frog.head. So that's my data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a subset of this. Yeah, I'm going to take a subset of this data. So I just want the first 5 columns after the second column, because I don't need date, I don't need ID. I want from trial number to, let's say, adhesive force body weight. So let's drop that. Let's just go for till time frog pulls on target. So I want from second column to 5th column. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, so I don't need ID as well, sorry. So I have these 3 values. I want these 4 values. So yeah, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a pivot table. Pivot table is basically grouping. Pivot table is similar to grouping, but let me just tell you how I use stack plots and when I do data visualization. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a pivot table where I'm going to calculate the average value of impact force, impact time, impact force, body weight, adhesive force per trial number. So how can I create a pivot table? First of all, I'm going to store this in another variable frog1, and then I'm going to create a pivot table. Let's just say trial equals to pd.pivot underscore table, and pivot underscore table is same as grouping. I use pivot table because it's more flexible. So it accepts first parameter as index, in which you pass the column name on which you want to group by. I want to group by on the basis of trial number. Then you pass the values of the columns you want in the values parameter. So I want the impact force. Let's just print frog1 dot columns. So I want all these values. And by default it calculates the mean, but just in case you want another statistical measure, you can go to the argfunc parameter and you can just write whatever statistical measure you want. Let's say you want median, so you just have to write argfunc equals to median, but in our case we want mean, so and by default it is mean. So I'll write mean, and then you have to pass which data does your pivot table belongs. So data is equals to frog1. So now if you print trial, so as you can see, I have all the average values for each trial number, and I'm going to compare these values. With a stack plot. So how can I create a stack plot again? plt dot stack plot, pld.stackplot, what I want on the x-axis, I want trial numbers on the x-axis, which is the index of trial.index. And then what I want on the y-axis. So as I mentioned, you can have multiple y-axis. You can have multiple values of y on y-axis. So I want these 4 columns, right? I want adhesive, impact force. But as you can see, the scale of impact force and impact time is pretty distant as compared to impact force and adhesive force. So let's just compare these two for now. Impact force and the second y I want is to be impact time pld.show. So as you can see, that's how we can compare. Obviously the scale is too much, that's why we are not able to that's why the graph looks like this. But let's just say we actually add one more variable, so obviously the graph will shift more towards down because the scale is too low. So let's instead of using the impact force and impact force versus body weight, we will use impact force, this one. So as you can see, now the data, now the stack plots looks prettier. And again, we can customize it by line width is equals to 1, and I want the borders to be black in color. So yeah, that's it. So just also one more case, if you want to change the colors, you just have to pass the color, a list of colors in the color values. So let's say you have 2 variables, so you just have to pass 2 colors in the colors argument, and then you will run it, and then you will have your stack plot. So that's how you can use stack plots. And in my most data visualization cases, I use stack plots after creating pivot tables, or what you can understand is after you aggregate data to get our data in the smaller version, then it is easy to create stack plots. So I hope you were able to understand why we want to create stack plots and how we can create stack plots and in what cases we can create stack plots. So that's it for the video. Thank you so much and have a great day. And please do share, like, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Thank you.